everyone, welcome to the Northland Artist Conversation. My name is Mark Kelly. I am your host on this wonderful journey of exploration where we find amazing artists in Northland, and very, very lucky, very grateful for what we do. It's one of those journeys that I've always found to be really fascinating is talking with other people and finding out more about them. I've said it numerous times. We always learn something new from every podcast guest that we interview, and it's great. And today's one is absolutely no exception. I'm going to flick to my camera. Zoe Quayle, man, so young, 21 years old. She turned 21 this year. Sold her first piece of art at age 11. Let that sink in for just a moment. What were you doing when you were 11? I know what I was doing. I was trying not to get beaten up by the bullies at school and, trying to play soccer. Certainly wasn't selling art. I think I might have even had a paper run at that stage. Yeah, that'd be about right. But yeah, holy cow, so cool, so articulate, such an amazing person, and she's been doing art for over a decade, and she works, in collaboration with her mum. It's a very artistic household, and she does talk about a few cool things that she's done along the way, and she also shares some amazing tips on, let's just say a little bit of social media stuff as well. So I'm going to shut up. You guys can enjoy this. Let's sit down and have a conversation with Zoe Quayle. We just kind of ease into it. I know, yeah. I know, it can be very awkward at times. I don't intentionally make things awkward. That's just apparently my default setting.
That's all good.
Thank you very much. Zoe Quayle?
Yes.
Quayle?
Yep.
But you go by another name, don't you?
Yes, I do. I have a secret identity.
A secret identity? Is it your, artistic name?
Yes, it is.
What is your artistic name?
I go by Zeke Rose online.
Zeke Rose.
Yep.
Okay, I'll be honest, it's cooler than Cher. So thank you very much for coming in and joining us in the podcast. This has been really interesting for us because this one will come out either a week or two after your mum's. But for the people watching and listening, we've filmed both on the same night. So that's going to be very, very cool. So I guess we sort of talked with Julie a little bit about how you guys collaborate and stuff like that. But we didn't really touch on too much into it. I guess what I would like to know, and we'll go back. Let's go right back. Yep. Because childhood sounds like it might have been quite interesting. Is that a polite way to put it?
Oh, yeah, very interesting. We're an artist family, and so we were always travelling around events like the medieval or the art events, so I was always in that scene very early, and It was quite interesting growing up as a child. It was crazy.
As someone who was part of a very artistic household, were you always drawn to the arts, or was it something that you kind of discovered a bit later on? Do you remember roughly when you went, yes, art?
Yes, I've always loved art. I've always liked drawing, especially people and characters.
Okay.
And when I decided to really start pushing it and going professionally was when I was younger. I was about, maybe 11 or 12.
Wow.
Yep. And So I had entered my very first painting into the Easter show
Okay, yes.
and displayed it there. And so that was the first thing that really made me go, wow, I want to pursue this and display my art. And I actually sold it, which was really amazing.
You sold a piece of art at 11?
Yeah.
What? Okay, look. So I've got a son. He's 11. He's 12 in a few months' time. Look, he loves wrestling. So how did you... most 11-year-olds don't have a clue what the hell they're doing next week, let alone, I want to be a professional artist. What was it that kind of happened in your brain that went, yes, this is the path I go down now?
Seeing my mum do it, I always thought it was really cool.
Okay.
And it really drove me into it.
Yeah.
And so what I did from that point on is I would tag along with her to her shows and I would do my own art and I would display it or I would do it near her or in general. And I started selling more pieces, which is what made me want to do it even more.
Yeah, wow. Now, growing up in such a creative household, because for all intents and purposes, there was circus stuff as well.
Oh, you got told about the circus.
We got told about the circus. So, do you think you could have gone any other way other than art? Do you think you could have gone, you know what? I'm going to study to be a biologist. Academia is the place for me.
I could have, and I did look into a lot of other options.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, like sciences, but I always found myself coming back to art and enjoying it.
And it's really interesting you say that because we've had other guests on in the past. We had one particular guest. She didn't discover art until like 30s or later. But she used to do these biology drawings of frogs, that have been dissected and stuff like that. So I think she always had that in her, but she didn't really know about it. So the fact that you were able to discover it quite early on is rather because you're not old enough where I can ask this next question where you're going to be offended because you're quite young, aren't you?
Yes, I'm 21. I just turned 21.
21. Wow, congratulations first off. Did you have a big blowout?
Yes, I had a blast. I got together with a bunch of friends and partied.
Excellent. Did you do 21 shots? Or the yard glass?
Probably over 21 all up. Over a long period of time.
Right, okay, yeah. So a good night was had by all.
Yeah.
Excellent. Very cool. So, for all intents and purposes, you've been really sort of in the art sphere for only a decade.
Yes, about that, yeah.
Wow. And that's so crazy because you sell artwork.
Yes, yep. I sell personal pieces, which I do. And I also run commissions online through my digital work, and I'm currently pushing it with my traditional.
You do digital work as well?
Yes, I do digital and traditional.
Oh, wow. Do you incorporate the two?
Yes, actually, I do. So what I do is I am a watercolour and digital artist. So I will sketch it out and I will plan it out on digital and then I will trace it to watercolour. And then oftentimes I'll use the digital to test out colours or different ideas I want to do before putting them on paper.
Okay.
Yep, as well as sometimes I will take pictures of my artwork and repurpose it back into my digital pieces to get a mixed media look.
Wow, that's amazing. And so you, primarily, your weapon of choice in the digital art medium is, what do you use? What's your software? Are you in Adobe
it's a
Photoshop?
Really basic one. I use a program called Fire Alpaca, as well as something called Clip Studio Paint.
Heard of Clip Studio Paint? Never. Fire Alpaca.
Yes, it's one of the programs that they teach you in high school. So I found that fit me quite well because Photoshop, I found it was good at art, but I found it was more used for image manipulation.
Yes,
absolutely. And I found
that
quite difficult to learn on.
That's a very fair comment. As someone who's Well, I'll be honest, struggled with Photoshop.
Yeah.
I am in complete awe of what you and your mother do, because if Satan was to rise from hell and say the only way that you can save your soul is by drawing me a picture, I'd be like, well, look, here's the side of Kit from Knight Rider. That's about the extent that I have. I'd probably just like, well, let's go. So mad respect. And the fact that you can do it in 2 formats as well is hugely impressive. Wow. Okay. So you're welcome. Where did the initial seed of combining the 2 formats come from?
It came from the fact that I had learned both, and I liked digital in itself, but I also really liked traditional.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of searching for a way to combine them, and I came across that through pin-up drawings.
What are pin-up drawings?
So they are based off of 1950s classic icons like Monroe.
Yes.
Or Lucille Ball, or Hilda is one.
Betty Page, is that the right era?
Yep, and Betty Boop.
Cool. Betty Boop, yes.
Yep.
Yep, excellent. Okay,
Yep.
I kind of know where we're going with this.
And so what I do is I do the pin-ups and I tie it into more classic culture, like I'll do, say, Bigger Woman, because they weren't presented much then, or I'll bring comic book characters, or I will do the ideas that haven't been seen. I've done a couple objects as pin-up characters.
Wow. Like what sort of objects?
Oh, I did a girl who was a rose once, and she had some beautiful red hair.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. Man, that's cool. And this portfolio of works available, people can find you online, yeah?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, cool. Now, going through, as someone who was also a fellow artist going through high school, how did you sort of find high school in general? Because obviously you're of the age where it's going to be quite a fresh memory. Because you know, I'm 48. For me, it was a little while ago. But how was high school for you, being someone that was an artistic student as opposed to, you know, I'm guessing, but were you super sporty or
No.
like massively academic, like a big brain, or
No.
was okay? So arts, right? You know, I remember seeing the art kids get beaten up by the jocks, and they were assholes. I went to an all-boys school.
Yeah.
Go figure. That was prominent in rugby and cricket. Go figure. But what was high school like for you as you're sort of branching out and expanding your portfolio of work?
Honestly, I did find high school really difficult. I actually didn't stay in it.
Oh, wow.
So
Wow.
I
Okay.
left when I was 16 because I am not very academic.
Right.
I cannot calculate my way out of a paper bag. So what I did is I left school
Yep.
and I went straight into work into the art centre that Mum was developing.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so through working through there and through helping teach, I was able to get the sort of experience that I was able to get onto a level 6 diploma.
And that's what you're doing at the moment, yes?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So you were at school, travelling around
Yeah.
for a bit, then obviously found a place to settle down.
Yeah.
Hit high school, went, this is shit.
Pretty much.
And if you could have bailed earlier, would you have?
I actually did enjoy school up until that point.
Okay,
It was
right.
the pressure of NCEA.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that monster.
Yes, that monster.
Thankfully, I was not around when that happened. I had the joys of school C. So at 16 years old, what year is that?
Oh, that is...
year 11? Is that producer Andrew's
11,
throwing
yeah.
up numbers at me? I don't understand it. I go, yeah, sweet. Year 16, sixth form. Don't be a dick. Okay, so you got there and then you went and worked for 4 or 5 years?
Yeah,
that
I
right?
was
Yeah.
working in the art centre while I was going to high school.
Wow. Okay, so that was or like a part-time job type thing.
Yep, so after school I would come back and sometimes I would have a class to teach or I would just work in the art centre as general.
You taught.
Yeah,
That's
I was
brilliant.
Yeah, I was learning how to teach around that age, and then at 17 or 18, I was able to sort of run classes my own way and go a bit more independently and become a teacher.
Oh, wow. That's cool. So you did that for 4 years, and then this year was it this year you decided to do your level 6?
Yep, and I am now teaching classes completely on my own. They're my classes to run and manage.
Wow. And as someone that's so young, how do you find that? A lot of responsibility.
It is, but I find that because I teach about 20 students 2 times a week.
Right, yeah.
Yep. And I find that it's really good because it's a really casual class, so there's no passing grade.
Yeah.
So if there are projects you want to do or anything you want to learn, you bring it in, and Julia has taught me the skills to be able to teach a lot of mediums to them.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So do you, apart from watercolour and digital, do you kind of dabble in other mediums as well?
Yes, most of them.
Oh, come on,
Yeah.
share some of them.
So I do watercolour and digital. Those are my main ones.
Yeah.
But I do sketching, I do acrylic, I'm just getting into airbrushing, I do clay, I do pastel work.
Wow.
If there's something else, I've probably done it and can help you in it. And if not, we take a learning journey together on how to learn it.
That's so cool. So, I mean, you've got your base and foundation that you're kind of comfortable with, I guess.
Yes, yeah.
But you're not afraid to expand your mindset and go, I don't know this, therefore it's not important.
No, even as a teacher, I'm still learning new things.
Yeah. That's so cool. So with the level 6 that you're in at the moment, are you, because we're filming this end of July, start of August.
Yeah.
How long have you got left to go before you complete that?
Till about November. So from this point onwards, we have completed most of our study, and we are on our way to planning an exhibition to display our work.
Ooh, very cool.
Yeah.
Will the exhibition be in Whangarei?
Yes, it will be. We're currently sorting it out.
Yeah.
Julia might have mentioned the dates already or not. No?
No.
Okay, well, I will leave those for now and let her sort those out.
Mum, it's your fault. Okay, so wow. I have so many questions because you've accomplished so much, but you're still so young. I think you are probably going to be our youngest, or if not youngest, second youngest person on the podcast, which is great.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Because art is a journey, and it's interesting to hear people where they're at. Obviously this is a snapshot of your life and where you're at right now. In a decade's time, you may be like, no, I discovered metal sculpture, and that's the only thing I do now. You have no idea where you're going to end up. Sort of finding out someone whose journey is okay. I would like to say someone whose journey is new, but it's not. It's a decade deep. Holy shit. I didn't just really discover drama until I was 14. So you got 3 years on me, which is crazy. So, exhibition. And then, exhibition, still teaching.
Yeah.
Where are you, if you could project yourself 5 years into the future, where would you be?
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. It's a good question.
In my studio, getting my commissions on my own, with just being able to pump art out.
Yeah. So that's the goal. Is that the end goal for you? Is just to be a paid artist?
It's my current goal. My goals are going to change as I grow more as an artist and up in general. But at the moment, it is establishing my business and starting to get a name out there. Yeah.
Okay. Which I think is great, because you've already done selling your first piece of art at 11.
Oh, it doesn't beat my brother. He sold his first piece at 6 and got 100% tip.
What? 6?
Oh, yeah, he painted some nice cherries and hung them up in one of our gallery halls, and he sold it.
I'm still figuring out how to play catch and kiss and win at 6. What the hell? You're not allowed to play that nowadays, any more kids. Just FYI, this was a different time. Please don't cancel me. That's wow, 6 years old. How much? Okay, how much? Do you know how much that piece of art sold for? Can you remember?
I think it was up for $20, and then you got an extra $20 on top.
Damn, those are better odds than Lotto. That's crazy, though. Wow. How much did your first piece of art sell for?
It was a painting of a ballerina, and I remember it selling for about $90.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Far out. And if we were to look at your art now, because do you mainly focus on commission work, or do you do stuff that you do with the intent of an exhibition?
Outside of study, I mainly do commission work.
Okay.
At the moment, I'm working on my first fully thought out, completed collection for my study.
Okay. And this will be going towards the passing mark and graduation, yeah?
Yes,
wow, yeah. Okay. What can you, are you able to give us a small reveal as to what the concept is going to be?
For the collection?
Yeah, your collection, yeah.
So my collection is a series of 10 pin-ups. Okay. And it is taking classic ideas or icons from the 1950s and putting what I view as real women. So there's this really misogynistic and just really horrible viewpoint online of, well, not misogynistic, but really horrible of like women have to be flawless with all the right curves, the right hair, the right skin, everything. Mm-hmm. And so my collection is taking those ideas and putting a woman who's, say, my size in there. Okay. Or has something like vitiligo or maybe some unconventional features.
Right, okay. So essentially you're taking the concept of a trad 1950s.
Yeah.
Well, it's a trad wife, really, isn't it?
Yep. Idealised views of women and putting women who look like women I've seen in real life and who look like me.
So it'd be like putting Lizzo in pin-up gear, yeah?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm picking up what you're laying down.
Yep, showing the other beautiful features that are maybe ignored.
Yeah. Well, because you're a beauty skin deep, but, you know, a true person comes from their soul and radiates. So when does that happen? Your exhibition? I mean, I am going to get you to talk about it.
Ooh,
I'm not going to leave it for Mum.
Happens around August. We're currently setting a defined date, but about mid-August.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. So by the time this comes out, your exhibition will have been done. Congratulations on your success!
Wow, thank you.
Oh my God, I can't believe you sold everything.
We passed.
Yay! And got a huge profit. Woohoo!
Yay!
So as you sort of lead up towards, you know, completing school and things like that, are you just solely going to go back into the commission and teaching space, or are you kind of looking at, you know, will you have a bit of a taste for exhibition work and then...
So I will probably follow teaching as a career. I'm wanting to get my teaching papers after I've completed this course.
Very cool, yeah.
But I do have a few ideas for a few big projects I want to do. I'm currently been planning for about 8 months a pin-up colouring book that I want to do.
Colouring book?
Yes, yeah.
What a great idea. That's so cool, yes?
Yeah, and so that's the next big project after I've done studying.
Yep. Okay. And so that'll come middle next year, like the first half, the second half?
Possibly first or second half.
Okay,
it's in the beginning phases, but I want to be able to start making things like that, like maybe books or colouring pages, just because it seems like a good revenue to go down. As for art goes, I want to create something that is not only aesthetically appealing but can also be sold. So it's targeting this sort of area that's something someone would buy as a gift, but also has my art and also isn't the price of the actual art.
One of the organisations that proudly supports the Northland Artist Conversation is Creative Northland. I'm going to take just a moment to talk to you guys about it. Creative Northland have been absolutely vital in helping this project get off the ground through its infancy and all the way through to where we are now. We couldn't have done what we've done without their assistance. What we suggest is that if you're a creative person and you haven't heard of Creative Northland, we highly recommend that you reach out to them. Creative Northland, simply do a Google search. They're the top result. These guys are wonderful. They're all creatives in their own way, and they're all very, very well respected throughout the industry that they work in. They're very hardworking, absolutely committed and dedicated to helping the creative people throughout Northland, whether it be through simple things like starting up a project, all the way through to putting on like an exhibition, for example, all the way through to working out how they can start turning what they do into a business. It's all free advice. They give really, really good guidelines and helpful assistance to make sure that you, as a creative, are able to get the most out of what you do. Creative Northland, highly recommend them. Check them out. So, as someone who plans on getting teachers' qualifications and then moving into, essentially being a professional teacher, are you looking at just sort of staying and working alongside, where you're at the moment, or, and bear with me for a second, would you actually look at going into intermediate or high schools or like at a tertiary level?
So I probably still want to stay official adult teaching for now because I do want to eventually, hopefully, teach in a tertiary school, but I am still figuring out what I want to do.
Right.
I'm doing a lot of research into it, and I am considering whether it's best to go into one of those institutions or to keep it private like I have been and running my own thing.
Yeah.
Because I have found that has been working quite well.
Would you ever get to the... would you like to get to the stage where, you currently teach a group of, how many, like 20?
Yeah.
Yep.
20 children.
20 children. Would you like to get to a stage where you're able to teach like a group of 5, but make more money from what you're doing?
Oh, that's the dream, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, so I was wondering about that, and as we're talking, it's sort of coming into my head, because you'll get these people that will be like, oh, I've never tried art before, I want to try art. With smaller groups of people, you can devote more time. Is that how it would work?
Yeah, which is why my classes are split up.
Yeah.
And it's so that in my classes, I get about 15 minutes to focus on the children because they sit next to each other in pairs.
Right, okay, yep.
Yep, so I will focus fully on a child for that amount of time, like full attention.
Yeah.
And then I will go to the other child, but I'll still be hovering around the classroom.
Yeah.
And we have food breaks, we have dance breaks sometimes. And
sure,
so
yeah.
while that's happening and while they're having a break, I will go around and I will look and see what they are doing and what they need to improve on.
Yeah. Walk me through sort of a typical lesson. You get your kids coming in, and this is after school, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
Do you go, hi, here's something, draw it? Or do you go, I'm going to tell you what to draw, free range interpretation?
So what we do is they get to choose what they do. So I give them a bunch of options.
Yep.
And I also run challenges and games that they can play,
Excellent.
like art challenges.
Yes,
yep.
Love a good challenge.
They're children. They love challenges
Yep.
and games.
They do.
And so I teach them what they need to know through that. So say it's a character art challenge.
Mm-hmm.
That day, that child will focus on character design and proportion and maybe colour.
Right.
And if they want to do sketching, they may focus on, composition or how to measure something exactly. It's completely up to them.
Right. And the classes are how long roughly?
2 hours.
2 hours for a kid?
Yep.
If you're having food breaks and dance breaks, I guess that's fine. But, man.
Yep, we have a break halfway through because you can't focus on something for ages. You need a break.
You do. And I imagine kids would just lose their shit after a while. Pardon my language. Well, it's the English language.
They get bored. They get tired.
Yeah.
They get annoyed.
Cranky.
Yes.
Hangry.
Yes.
Just want to go home.
No, they want to stay.
Oh, right. It's a good problem to have then. So you do teaching 2 days a week.
Yes.
What do you do with the rest of your week?
So the rest of the week, I'm mainly working with Julia in the studio at the moment while we complete our diploma.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I am face painting in the community. I face paint around Whangarei quite a bit.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Along with other community projects that may show up, like murals or any other art projects.
Oh, wow. Do you have any sort of up-and-coming projects that you can share with our listeners and viewers?
It's just that colouring book at the moment.
Right, okay. Yep.
I'm focusing on establishing my name and starting to get it out there and have something physical that can be, like, distributed between people and public.
Yeah. How okay, here's a good question. So I obviously I'm quite a bit older. And building up our brand and reputation and things like that, when I was working, we did it very differently. As someone who's young, how do you utilize social media?
So I use social media quite a bit. I post mainly on Facebook and TikTok at the moment. And I try to engage with the public as much as I can, as well as making my content.
Okay.
Because developing my business and growing up with an artist mum, I learnt that it's not just what you know, it's who you know as well.
Yep, definitely.
So I try and get in contact with a lot of artists who are in the same communities or different communities. I've recently been doing a couple of collabs with them.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, and just engaging with the public, that's how you do it.
With social media, as someone who is young, I'll be honest, I hate TikTok. I think that's shit. And that's my old cantankerous bastard coming out. I'm going to end up like Clint Eastwood. How important do you think social media is, and do you think enough artists utilise it well enough?
I think it is important in getting your work accessible to a broader range of audience.
Yep.
But it isn't a need if you want to keep it within your community. But I think it is very important for building a reputation and communicating with those you want to sell art to or be hired by.
Okay. All right. As someone of the younger generation, I do. Oh God, there's a question. I mean, I guess I've wanted to ask some of the guests, but no one's ever mentioned. A couple of them might have mentioned TikTok. If you were going to do a TikTok for this podcast, hey, free marketing advice. What would you do? Like, if you were to do not the podcast itself, but you being on the podcast, how would you go about? What would you do? There we go.
I would probably make snippets of what we talk about, or the videos, or what we're doing.
Okay.
And then I would have it linked back to my main page, because TikTok doesn't support long videos, and it's also scrolling culture. So people will just scroll and scroll and scroll.
I learned it today. Is it called doom scrolling? Is that what it is? I've heard.
Possibly.
I learned this term
similar
today, where you just scroll for Africa, and because there's so much content, you're never going to get through it. Right. There you go. The old bastard learnt something new. Doom scrolling.
Yeah. So I keep it in a minute, or if it's longer than a minute's content, I will make several videos.
Oh, wow.
So it pushes them out more.
Yeah.
And then if it's a big project, I'll have it linked back to my other sites where I'm doing it.
And consistency is also key, right? How many times a day do you post?
A day. I try to post about once every 3 days.
Okay, right.
Because that allows me to get drawings done and keep content rolling out.
Yeah. How, because with TikTok, essentially, you are like a micro filmmaker.
Yes.
Because you've got to worry about like everything that we worry about in the studio here. You got to worry about lighting and the camera in the right position, and is it a good take and all of that sort of stuff. For a 1 minute TikTok, how much time would you say you actually spend on the 1 minute TikTok?
Producing it in whole?
From start to finish. From idea to delivery.
It can take weeks sometimes, depending on the project.
Oh, shit. Wow. For a 1 minute TikTok.
Yeah, well, it's because sometimes artworks can take a couple of days.
Yeah.
And then in between that, you have to do filming in your takes and make sure it's all right. And then you have to do editing on top of that, and then you have to push it. And sometimes it doesn't work.
Wow. That's crazy. So you can drop something, you can look at it and go, man, this is the best content I've ever done.
Yep.
Push it out and get the big fat donut.
Yep. Traditional work takes the longer few weeks. Digital work takes about a week.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
And do you post more traditional or digital?
I post both.
Wow. Holy cow. What one gives you the highest engagement?
Memes. Memes.
Should have seen that coming, people.
My digital work seems to get more attention on TikTok, which is why I do push it more on there, but on Facebook I push my traditional artwork more.
Okay.
Because the traditional pin-up artwork specifically is targeting the about 30 to 50-year-old demographic.
I was going to say, be careful with what you're about to say.
The ones with money to spend on traditional art.
Yep. 30 to 50 demographic.
Yep.
I fit slot in there nicely.
Yep. You have younger people buying art, but not as much.
Yeah, yeah. Do you... Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one as well. Could you do digital memes? Yeah. Yeah, that's a dumb question. So, yeah, that's so crazy that you spend so much time on something, because, for a podcast, we'll make initial contact with each guest. There'll be a few emails backwards and forwards. We'll do a little bit of a pre-interview, which we did earlier. And then we'll do some filming, and then a couple of hours to edit. Let's say 2 hours to edit a 1 hour podcast, and then probably an hour and a half to get everything loaded in the correct sequence on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
And that's a 1 hour podcast. That's not 1 minute. Your job for that is harder than what we do.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. This is definitely a better setup.
Well, look, you throw money at any project and it's going to look good.
Yeah.
It's probably harder on phone to do what we do.
Yeah.
Yes.
What I mean.
Yeah.
We do everything computer. So.
Yeah. That's I mean, I'll be honest, I don't understand TikTok. I don't. I've done a couple of experiments with friends of mine that have TikTok, and I've grabbed their phone and said mental health issues, and then all of a sudden their feed's just populated with people that have got mental health issues. So I don't really understand TikTok in that way. I get why it's done, and I get what it's for. In a lot of ways, it reminds me of Vines that were around a few.
Oh my goodness.
I know, I just aged myself quite badly, But Vines were kind of the big one, where a lot of Vine precursor.
Yeah.
Thank you, producer Andrew. Precursor to YouTube, right? And then now we've got TikTok, because you can get like TikTok famous and stuff like that.
Yes. Yeah.
What's the biggest engagement you've had on one of your posts?
I started a trend actually, and it was a draw an eye and guess my age trend, because I was turning 21 and I thought it'd be fun.
You should draw an eye, like an eye.
Yeah, like a drawing of an eye.
Yeah.
And we would all draw it on this filter, and we would get people to guess things about us just for fun, because how can you guess that from art?
Sure, yeah.
And it ended up with about 240,000 likes in 3 days.
What?
And 500,000 views.
And
We're going to get on TikTok.
yeah, I know we need to get on TikTok, producer Andrew. It's the old cantankerous bastard in
Yeah.
me that's very reluctant.
The bad thing about TikTok, though, is you will have your 15 minutes of fame, and then that can be it for like months.
Yeah. And are you after okay, great follow-up question. Do you, once that happened and you got that 250,000 and then that 500,000, $500,000, did you find yourself trying to chase that again to like replicate it?
A little bit afterwards, yes,
Yeah.
I did. And then I found out it didn't work, so I tried new stuff.
Okay. Is that something that, do you think could be quite a common thing where one thing blows up and then there's this pressure to keep delivering things that are going to constantly blow up or be bigger?
Yes, absolutely. Especially on platforms like that. A lot of people base their whole worth as an artist and a creator on that. And it's a real huge problem, because the way it works is the algorithm, you will blow up and then you will have nothing for ages. And that's just how it works.
Right. Wow. Okay. Wow. Look, I'll be honest. I always try and learn something new from each guest. So this for me has been a huge learning. So, Zoe, thank you so much for coming in and sitting down with us. This is truly eye-opening. This has been truly eye-opening. Thank you so much for giving us your time. We'd love to have you come back again at another stage if you're interested.
I'm sure I can. Thank you so much for having me. This has been a wonderful experience.
Cool. Well, there we go, everyone. That was Zoe Quayle. Yeah, amazing. Such a huge talent that's coming up at the moment. Creating for 10 plus years. She considers herself a professional, and why not too? I mean, she sells her, her works for money. She does commissions. Hugely talented person. As I said in the intro, I talked about there's a particular part of social media. Yes, I learnt about TikTok. It's something that producer Andrew has been trying to get me into for a little while now, and I've been, I'll be honest, a little bit reluctant to look at it. I'm 48. As at the time of this recording, I am 48 years old, and I just never really saw any value in it. But she made some very valid points, so it's probably something we'll look at later on. I'm going to flick to my my close-up camera. Yeah, definitely one of those cool podcasts. It's funny because she's young, and with a lot of our guests, they've got like decades of experience behind them. So there's a wealth of stories and information that you can draw on. So when talking with Zoe, I was like, I don't know how we're going to make this go, and it just came out amazing. She was so cool. Just one of those people that you can ask a question and she'll answer it as articulately as possible. And man, she was just so good. So good. So where can you guys find this amazing podcast and follow us to find out the plethora of podcasts that we've done in the past and will do in the future? Well, I'm going to share all the information with you guys now. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram and YouTube, all under Northland Artists Conversation. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts, all Northland Artists Conversation. See what we did there? Kept it nice and simple. If you are an artist and you would love to come in, sit down with us, have a bit of a chat, talk about what's going on, what's coming up, share your story with some of our amazing audience. Or if you know someone that would be an excellent guest, please feel free to reach out to us. Our email address is hello at northlandartistsconversation.co.nz. It's just super simple. Just flick us a quick email, and we'll get back in touch. We do also have a Patreon page as well. Patreon is where you can go and support a little bit more of us and what we do. You get a few perks as well. We've got a couple of different tiers. So I am going to talk about those tiers now. First tier we have is what we've affectionately called a cup of coffee, because most artists like coffee. That's $5 a month. Not much in the grand scheme of things, and we really do appreciate it. Second tier we have is called Coffee Addict. That's $20 a month. You get a few extras. Like we'll give you a shout out. We'll let you know who's coming up, and if you've got questions that you would like me to ask, you can get those through to me, and I'll certainly pass those on. I'm going to shout out our patrons at the moment. So our newest Patreon, and this is really exciting, Jenny Purchase. Thank you so much for being a patron. We really, really appreciate it. It's amazing. Then we've got Maggie Coco. Maggie, thank you for your continued support. We really do appreciate it. Third is Michael Boater, the man, the myth, the legend, the boater. Mate, always appreciate it. And the original, the one, the only, Lauren Roach. Lauren, thank you so much for getting us this all started. It's been an absolute blessing. Thank you to all our patrons. It's super, super cool. You can find our Patreon page one of two ways. You can go to Google, type in Patreon. That's Patreon. Open up the page, top right-hand corner, log in, create an account, search Northland Artists Conversation. Find us, pick the tier that's going to work best for you, and then go from there. Second way you can find us is by going www.patreon.com/Northland Artists Conversation. Really, could it be anything else? Of course not. That's how you find us if you'd like to support us a little bit more. Thanks very much for those of you that do support us on our socials and on Patreon as well. Really, it honestly, it means a lot because it really helps us out. I'm going to flick to the wide camera. It's a beautiful time of the year. Days are getting longer. Days are getting a little bit warmer as well. Starting to see a little bit more sunshine coming out. Touch wood, knock on wood rather, that this keeps coming around. It's a glorious time. We've done some really cool things in the studio. We're super excited, and we're going to continue to grow and move forward. So on that high note, my name is Mark Kelly. Behind the computer's desk tonight is producer Andrew. Thank you so much for tuning into the Northland Artists Conversation. We will see you guys real soon.